test in Portsmouth. They are not holding a fall test because of COVID, so he's in the process of putting together our own testing process for October, so hopefully we'll be able to fill our last vacancy at that time.
You have one vacancy?
Correct. The detective division has been very busy. They put together some fairly large operations. They've had some large drug seizures, and they continue to work very hard in that case, in many of those cases, and they continue to work on the investigation of the recent arson fire over on Dyer Street. In addition to that, Captain Grayton has been working on our capital improvement submissions for next year, which will be due on Thursday, and the new cars that were funded with last year's, or actually with this year's budget, should be in sometime towards the end of October, and then sent out to the upfitter for the installation of the equipment. And that is all for support.
You've all received a copy of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Make a motion,
Comments? Motion?
make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second?
On the motion made by Commissioner Mello, seconded by Commissioner Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. The meeting, the minutes of the August 19th meeting were accepted as distributed. Review of monthly activity reports, monthly highlights. Chief Canfield.
So for the month of August, we responded to 2,995 calls for service, which is up considerably from the corresponding month last year, where we responded to 1,938 calls, so that's up about 17%. Criminal offenses that we've investigated are up. For the month of August, we investigated 408 criminal cases, which was up from 325 the corresponding month last year. We made a total of 140 physical custody arrests, and we also stopped 607 motor vehicles. Our motor vehicle enforcement is up 44%. In addition to that, we issued 26 motor vehicle summonses, 503 written warnings, responded to a total of 45 motor vehicle accidents, 16 of which included injury, issued 337 parking tickets, arrested 12 people for DWI, and took 40 people into custody for intoxication. We responded to a total of 35 domestic disturbance calls, 166 other disturbance calls, 13 suicidal subjects, and investigated 9 violation of restraining orders. Our staff volunteered a total of 18 hours of their own time as part of, for the month. Our victim services unit is still not active as of yet because of COVID.
I got a question. The intoxication, is that, you wouldn't know if that was, a lot of it was motorcycle week or anything?
I don't think any of that was motorcycle week.
Wasn't? Okay.
That week was very quiet for us, and I don't believe, at least the last weekend, we had no arrests associated with it whatsoever.
Do you know why the calls of service are up so much, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know what the main causation is, but it's been a very funny summer. It's been a little bit different. Certainly, I don't know if that's because people were inside a lot with the pandemic or not, but people seem to be pretty tense, and certainly it was a much different summer. It was much busier than usual. I assume that's because a lot of people are coming to the state, to their second homes, a lot more than they were, and they've been up longer. I know that they were here earlier in the summer because kids were not in school, and even now some of the mass schools aren't back to school full-time, so they're still up here. So I assume that attributed to it as well.
Were you at fully staffed last year at this time? Same as you are now, or were you less staffed?
Similar, yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're probably similar to where we were.
Moving on to the criminal investigative unit statistics. Chief Canfield.
For the month of August, They were assigned 21 new initial cases, conducted follow-up on 23 cases, made 3 felony arrests, originated 4 felony charges, conducted 32 different search warrants or arrest warrants, cleared 2 cases exceptionally, conducted 19 sex offender registrations. The drug detectives did 6 knock and talks, 13 drug intelligence sheets, conducted 1 polygraph exam, and did 85 training hours, which would be attributed to mostly instructor time. They recovered $10,000 in property and did a total of 27 video redactions.
Questions?
As part of that recovered property, one of the things we seized was a Volkswagen Passat pursuant to a drug investigation that we'll be moving to seek forfeiture on.
We're keeping that car.
We've submitted for forfeiture to keep it, yes.
Looks like the department's been pretty busy then.
They have been.
Budget printouts, Chief Canfield.
Nothing to note on that. Certainly very early in the budget year, and everything's looking good with that.
Question about that, if I'm reading this correctly. Some of the line items, it says percent used, it's like 20%, 24%, and so forth. And I don't know if it's front-loaded or if it's balanced off of the year, but just wondered if it's gonna be enough to carry it through for the balance of the year.
Which page are you looking at, sir?
It's the current expenditures compared to current year's budget. Says actuals, budgeted, difference, percent used.
Yeah,
percent
I think on a lot of those line items, it's because they're billed probably on like a quarterly basis.
Yeah, so it's,
So it jumps, but then there's no payment for a while. Overall, I think it looks very good, though.
yeah, so. Don't anticipate any problems then anyway with,
We don't.
yeah, good.
Moving on to monthly traffic statistics, Chief Canfield.
So for the month of July, as I meant, or the month of August, as I mentioned, we responded to 45 motor vehicle accidents, 16 of which were with injury. The number one cause of motor vehicle accidents, which attributed 14 of them, was due to driver inattention or distraction, followed by 10 accidents that were attributed to unsafe backing, followed by failure to yield the right-of-way, which attributed to 4 of those accidents. Number one location for accidents was Union Avenue with 10, followed by Parade Road, where there were 5 accidents, followed by a tie for third, which there were 3 accidents on North Main Street and 3 accidents on Endicott Street.
Monthly fleet report, Chief Canfield.
Nothing. Our new cars will be hopefully arriving the end of October and hopefully online at some point in November.
So what's the turnaround time to get them equipped in couple weeks?
Yeah, they'll be over there for a couple weeks, but depending on their workload with other departments, it could be anywhere from, a couple weeks to up to 2 months.
Really?
So depending on how, the timing with other agencies. Ospey Mountain does a lot of agencies, so, however, we did order the equipment for it, so that should be in, about the same time as the vehicle, so that should speed things up a bit.
Chief report.
So in operations, I spoke about recruitment. They'll be getting a new scheduling software, which they'll be working to implement and get up and running this fall. It's a new, right now we use Microsoft Excel to do the patrol officer schedules. This is a lot more modern. It's an actual scheduling software where they can check it on their phones. They can submit leave requests through it, and eventually it'll integrate with our payroll system, so we won't be doing paper time cards anymore. That's the second phase of that. We've had significant presence this year on our mountain bikes, as well as officers on foot. We've hit the downtown area and the WOW Trail and beaches very heavily on foot patrol and uniforms, as well as the bicycle patrol. We have 2 additional officers that are in bicycle patrol school this week down in Concord. And we anticipate running the bicycles as long as we can through the fall, probably into November anyway. So that is it for that. As far as my report goes, you'll see in your packet, there was a general order for collateral duties for Sergeant Robert Sedgley, Detective Howe, Detective Neary, as well as Officers Sean McCormick, Bo Paris, and Jonathan Milne. That is they've undergone training for the drone, the unmanned aerial vehicle. So that is the team that will be certified to run the drone, and it's headed by Sergeant Sedgley. For the month of August, we had year-to-date, we've had 52 drug overdoses, which is down a little bit compared to where we were last year. We were at 63. Our drug overdose year-to-date so far, we've had 2 drug overdose deaths. In comparison, last year, the whole year, we had 9 drug overdose deaths, so that's still trending in the right direction. I have copies of the accreditation report for you. This is the on-site report that the team that came out and did our national accreditation assessment in July produced. The report is very positive and very reflective that will be reaccredited in November. This report will be submitted to the actual Commission on Accreditation. They have this report, and this will be reviewed in November, at which point we appear before the commission, but because of COVID, they'll be doing it through a Zoom session, and hopefully be reissued our accreditation at that point. But the report it's very in-depth and very lengthy, and certainly some very good reading. Monday night, we requested the transfer or the funding of several capital improvement items that we had originally requested in our budget this year. They were not funded at that time because of the uncertainty with COVID. I had worked with Councilor Cheney, and thank you for your support on this matter, as well as the city manager, to request the funding. We originally were requesting funding for the electronic variable message boards. However, we found a grant that we were able to secure the funding of those that we'll be bringing to you at some point in the near future. But this request was specifically to fund the replacement of the air conditioner unit for our dispatch center, which is as old as the building is, and is on its last legs, as well as to fund several more of the police cameras that the portable cameras that we can use for large events, as well as a dispatch software called Priority Dispatch. This is a software that not only expedites, but it makes the dispatcher's job more efficient and streamlines the way that they take the call and push the information out to the officers on the mobile data terminals. And then this would included funding for the replacement of our force options simulator upstairs, where we train officers in the appropriate use of force. Our current simulator is 12+ years old, and we had the company come out to fix it, and like all technology, it's just antiquated and it doesn't function anymore. So with the support of Councilor Cheney, this got approved Monday night at City Council meeting, so there'll be that funding is available, so we'll be looking to replace those items over the next couple weeks. And that is all I have.
On the drones, you mentioned certification. Is that through the FAA, or is that the certification for the operators?
The certification for the operators comes from the company as far as how to run the equipment, but it also includes a component that they have to receive their FAA certification as actual drone pilots. And I'm told it's a pretty difficult test, so.
Old business,
Nothing?
new business,
Nothing?
other business.
Nothing?
Confirmation of the next meeting date, October 21st, 2020. Any conflicts?
I will not be here for that. I mean, but I can do it remotely, I can call in, but just won't be in town. So,
The call-in worked. The last time I called in, it seemed to work all right. So. Citizen comments. Hearing none. Non-public session.
I'd like to make a motion. Go into non-public session according to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parentheses C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance, for tax abatement, or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis and seconded by Commissioner Mello. We'll do a roll call for the vote. All in favor of going into non-public?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis is a yes, Commissioner Mello is a yes, and myself, Commissioner Woodham, is a yes. So in accordance with RSA 93A:3, the Laconia Police Commission went into non-public session at 3:26 PM.